So first thing to say is I can't actually show you the Elvies because I've sold mine, but I did exclusively pump with them for well over 2 months. I think it must have been about 3 months that I exclusively pumped with just the Elvies, no other pump. Um, and so in that time, I have really got a pro and con list and what the benefits of the Elvie are and what the cons are. So I'm sure if you've clicked on this video, you probably already know what an Elvie is and you've probably already looked into buying one. If you don't know what an Elvie is, I'll put some pictures here, but it's basically a pump that's about this big, very small, and it actually slots into your bra. It's wireless. You don't need to be plugged into the wall. You can literally slot it into your bra and walk around. So the biggest pro for that is the convenience. So a normal pump, like at the moment I use the Medela Swing Flexi, and I do use it with a pumping bra, so I am hands-free. But if not, I would be holding the pump, I would be plugged into the wall, and I've just got to sit there for 20 minutes. I mean, the Medela pump you can put batteries in, so if I've got my bra on and I've got batteries in the pump, I can technically walk around, but you've still got things attached to you, the big like pump motor, I guess what it is. So it's not as convenient as something that you can just slot into your bra. So the biggest pro is the convenience. I 100% hands down would not have continued to exclusively pump without the Elvies because I had a newborn to look after. I was like trying to get to grips with motherhood and like putting him down for naps, sterilizing bottles, just all the things that you try and do as a new mum. And like playing with him, obviously cuddling him. So just to have that pump that I could just slot into my bra, and if he was napping, instead of sitting there with the pump for 20 minutes, I could get on, do the washing up, I could like hang some washing up, etc. The convenience was just 100% recommend. Also, if obviously we're in lockdown and most of the time that I was pumping we was in lockdown, but if I had to go to a doctor's appointment and it was time to pump, or if I had to, well, not had to, if I wanted to go and meet my friends for coffee, like I could pump on the go. There was times that I walked to meet my friends and I pumped for 20 minutes just walking. When I got there, Bob's your uncle, I've done my pump session. If you exclusively pump at the start, you will be pumping every 90 minutes, every 2 hours. So I wouldn't have been able to keep up with that if I had to keep plugging myself into the wall. It was just so easy to slot it in to my bra. So for the convenience, I can't recommend it enough. I say that you can get on and do things like washing up, etc. You just have to be careful. Even though it's slotted into your bra, you can't do things like, I tried to wash the bath a few times. As soon as you bend over, game over, your milk is gonna leak everywhere. So it's convenient up to a point. Obviously, Fox Cub is my first baby, but I know a lot of people ask me about the Elvie pump because they have a toddler to look after, and I cannot imagine how hard it would be if you was looking after a toddler, a newborn, and trying to pump around the clock as well. So I would 100% say it's worth it for the convenience aspect. Other benefits, so that's like my top benefit and pro. You can't get more convenient than that. Another benefit is they sell it as it's a silent pump, and compared to any other pump I've used, because I've used a few, I mean, it is hands down the quietest, like definitely quiet, but it's not completely silent. You can still hear a little but compared to anything else, it's pretty much silent. I think this would be great as well as the convenience aspect if you go back to work and you need to pump. I know by law that in the UK anyway, that your workplace has to provide somewhere clean and private for you to pump and then somewhere for you to store your milk. But I just feel like it would be so much easier just to slot it into your bra while you're at work rather than setting up your whole pump and being plugged into a wall. You could literally just you can see the light through your bra sometimes, which is cool. You look like a robot woman. But I mean, I would have been happy as long as like obviously the rest of the people in my office were happy. I could have happily sat in my office with it down my bra because you can't hear it, you can't see it. Easy peasy. Also for the silent thing, it's good when I was pumping in the middle of the night, it didn't wake the baby up, and I didn't have to faff about like plugging things into the wall and trying to attach it to me. I literally just slotted it in my bra and it didn't wake the baby up, so that's good. It's really easy to clean. It comes, I really wish I had it here to show you, but it comes, the shield comes off like the main hub, and you have to clean the shield and like the bottles and like the valves, etc. You can get a bit of dried milk around some bits, so you have to be careful that you clean it properly. But in terms of cleaning, it is really easy to clean. Elvie tell you the best way to sterilize it as well, because I was sterilizing in boiling water and they told me not to do that. So make sure you check the manual. The customer service is really good. I can't fault it, but I did have problems with my second Elvie, and I can't fault the customer service enough, because as soon as I brought up the complaint, they fixed it instantly. They send you new parts out like next day delivery. But obviously it's not a good thing that I had problems in the first place, if that makes sense. So it's kind of a pro that as long as you buy it from like somewhere that sells Elvies, like, and you get the warranty, it's a pro that you know that they're going to help you. But obviously it's a con that they break in the first place. So take that as you will. So that's really all the pros that I have. The battery life does last well as long as you stay on top of charging it. Also, I know that if you're not exclusively pumping and you just use it now and then, if you go longer than a week, it goes into shutdown mode and then you have to charge it via a computer. So bear that in mind. But obviously if you're exclusively pumping like I was, you're going to be charging it all day, every day anyway. I mean, it's good as well. I had like, if I needed to go out and pump, you didn't have to take like whole, like nowadays I have to take my whole Medela, I have a whole like big bag for everything. Whereas this used to fit into my little like chill bag. So it's small and easy to like travel with. So yeah, that's all the pros. So now moving on to the cons. Obviously, compared to other pumps, it is quite expensive. Is it worth the money? I do not know. So you're looking at around £200 to £250 for a brand new Elvie. They sell them quite a lot of places like John Lewis, Amazon, Elvie themselves. So I bought my first one from Amazon just because we feel like, because I wasn't too sure if I was going to like it or not, and I'd heard that there could be lots of problems. I felt like Amazon, it's easy to return things, it's easy to bring up if there's a problem. So we bought the first one for £250 from Amazon. I then went ahead and bought a second one. I'll come on to that later. I bought it from a company called Beauty Bay, and if you're a new customer, you can get 20% off. So it worked out something like, my maths isn't great, but I think it was somewhere between £200 and £220. So it was quite a big saving. And that's the one that I had problems with. I'm not saying it's because it was from Beauty Bay. I'm just saying that's the one I had problems with. And Elvie customer service, because it was from Beauty Bay and that's one of their sellers, they were fine with that. I showed them the receipt and everything. They could replace everything. Another con, obviously, when it comes to things like breast pumps, my breasts are obviously different to your breasts. My nipples are different to your nipples. You might have way bigger boobs than me. You might have way bigger nipples than me. So this one, you're going to have to take it as it comes, because obviously it's going to be different for everyone. But for me personally, the Elvie wasn't as comfortable as the Medela. So it comes, when you buy it, it comes with two sets of shields. I think it's 28mm and 24mm shields. I think when you buy most breast pumps, it's around 24mm, like seems to be like the average like shield size they give you. With the Elvie, you can buy smaller separately. So I had to buy the 21mm shields, like the smaller ones, and that was extra cost. I think they cost about £30. So you've already paid the £250 and then you're paying another £30 for a shield. but it just was never that comfortable for me. So I have a thing called elastic nipples. Too much information, but it basically meant that the hub would draw in my whole nipple, and it would kind of like rub against the end of the like shield, so it wasn't the most comfortable. And I even bought, you can buy Bosian cushions, which quite a lot of people use. That made it worse. I tried things like oiling up, and it just, nothing was working. So in terms of like what I find more comfortable, that's why I switched to the Medela. I just find it more comfortable. And obviously if you're exclusively pumping, you want to be comfortable. Like, you don't want to be dreading having to pump all the time. So that one is going to be different for you, but for me personally, it's not as comfortable. You get an app, you can download the Elvie app onto your phone, and then you can actually control the app. So you put the Elvie in your bra, and then you've got the app on your phone. You don't have to use it, but it was quite cool. You could like increase the settings of the pump. You can check like the battery life, etc. So the app was cool, but the only thing I'll say about the app is it tells you how much milk you've made. So you might look and you might be like, oh wow, I've made 120 ml of milk, and then when you get it out, you've only got 60 ml. So that was one of my like things that was a bit annoying. The app is inaccurate, but it's not a massive con. Like, it doesn't change anything. It's just a bit annoying that you get your hopes up and then you're like, ah. It's kind of cool as well. So you can't see the bottle, which is a good tip for producing more milk. When you can't see the bottle and what you're producing, research shows that you actually produce more milk. So when it's in your bra, you obviously can't see what's going on. But so I was concerned, well, what happens if it's going to overflow? But it's got a special thing that when it hits the top of the bottle, the pump cuts out, so you're not going to like overflow. I have read on lots of forums that that's been inaccurate for some people though, but it was always fine for me. There's a tip as well. You're either meant to wear a black bra or a nude bra, and it works better, but I can't remember which way around it is. So I'm on a Facebook group, I think it's called Elvie Tips, and that was invaluable. There's a lot of people moaning about the Elvie, and it nearly put me off buying it because of how many complaints there were. But there's also loads of tips on there. So for instance, you think when you're new to pumping, you think, oh, I'm going to put it on the highest setting ever because I'm going to get more milk. Well, actually, a lot of people were saying that like the lower settings, they were getting more milk. So I tried that, and Bob's your uncle got more milk on the lower settings. So if you do go ahead and buy the Elvie, I would recommend joining that Facebook group. But what I noticed from the Facebook group was a lot of women were saying that with like the Medela or the Spectra or like your typical normal breast pump, they produce like a lot more milk with those compared to the Elvie. For me personally, I make around about the same, so there's no issue there for me. But just to mention that a lot of women on that site say that they don't get as much milk with the Elvie. So you might be wondering, why did I sell my Elvies if they were so amazing? So I actually ended up with mastitis, and for some reason I completely blamed the Elvies. I was like, it's because they're so uncomfortable, they've cracked my nipples, like it must be them. So I just wanted to get rid of them. But since using the Medela, which I 100% recommend, and I find a lot more comfortable and I just prefer it to the Elvies, I've had mastitis another 3 times. I think I'm just prone to it, so I can't blame the Elvies for that. So part of me thinks, oh, maybe I should have just kept them, but from a comfort point of view, I do prefer the Medela. So whether to get a single or a double, I started off with a single because obviously they're super mega expensive. And I think I lasted 8 weeks, like pumping every 90 minutes with just the Elvie, no other pump. And so I was doing 20 minutes on this boob and having to swap it 20 minutes to that boob, which is fine in the day because I had nothing better to do. It's like I said, it's convenient. So I'd literally pump for 20 minutes, swap breaths. In the night time though, it was a bit of a drag. So obviously I was still waking up in the middle of the night every 90 minutes to pump. And so I'm sitting there half asleep with this one on this boob for 20 minutes and then having to swap. So I suddenly thought, why don't I just buy another one, because that's going to be extra sleep. So having double was amazing. So I'm going to put it out there. If you're exclusively pumping, 100% recommend getting 2. If you're just pumping once a day, like say you're actually nursing your baby and breastfeeding, and then you just want to pump once a day, you would be fine with a single one. And if you want it like for going to work or out and about for convenience, just get one. You don't need 2. So what else was I going to say? Oh yeah, another thing, in the night it's really good because you can kind of sit there half asleep with it in your bra. As long as you're like sitting upright, like it's better than with my Medela now. In the middle of the night I do have to sit more upright, have to be more like at a proper angle, so it's good for like in the night time as well. And one more thing I would say is they do resell in the UK. They do resell quite well. So I bought one for 250 and one for 220. Obviously I didn't use them for that long. Like one I used for about 3 months, all day every day, and the other one I just used for about a month. And I sold one for 165 and one for 150. So I don't know about you, but for me I thought that was quite a good money back. Like you don't lose all your money on them. So that's one thing, you can resell them. If you do buy them secondhand though, you have to be careful because you won't have the warranty. So I would probably recommend buying new. So yeah, my thoughts are, for convenience, amazing. Would I recommend them for exclusively pumping? It really depends on your lifestyle and how you're going to feel about being plugged into a wall. If you've got other children, probably would recommend the Elvies. If you're not exclusively pumping, so if you just pump once or twice a day, I would probably go for your more traditional pump, because it's probably not going to kill you off being attached to the wall for 20 minutes compared to, like, you don't really, if you're only pumping once a day, you don't really need the convenience aspect compared to somebody that's pumping 10 times a day. So for me, I would, if somebody had a gun to my head and said, would you buy the Elvie or the Medela? Medela. But would I recommend the Elvie for convenience aspect? Yes. So I really hope that helps you. If it does, give it a like and subscribe to my channel for more pumping tips. Also, it's my chair squeaking.